Hola and bienvenidos a la Breaking Wind de Last Airbender podcast. Hoy vamos a la biblioteca. Sí, bienvenidos. Yes, it is time for Breaking Wind, a Last Airbender podcast. I am Jason Roy Gaston, and the man to my side is the one, the only VHS Jason. Today, we're going to the library.
Right, excellent.
Chapter 10.
You had me worried there for a
point.
sec, Jason. I was trying to turn off my subtitles. So
yeah, sorry about that. Somebody hit the SAP button. Yes, I bet you didn't know that I was bilingual. But let's continue with this halfway point in the second season of Avatar: The Last Airbender. We encounter the Gaang as they visit a spring that Aang used to have fond memories of. However, it has seen better days. But at the spring, they meet a man, and that man is just fascinated by Aang because, Aang is a living, he's a living fossil, basically. You're an airbender, and he seems to know a lot about airbenders. And Sokka has got his own mission right now. He wants a map of the Fire Nation, and there doesn't seem to be any because the Fire Nation is very secretive. They don't want anybody to know where anything's at. It's like Walmart. You have to wander around to find things. So they go across the desert with this man because they've heard that there is a library out there, and the library is full of library things like books and maps. Knowledge. And yes, they're going to go pillage the library. And what does the fox say? Well, the fox can't say anything because he's got a scroll in his mouth. Because the foxes serve this great spirit that lives in the library, the great spirit owl, who is the guardian of the library. They find the library, and it's buried in the sand, kind of like the Library of Alexandretta, only it is not destroyed.
It did raise some questions, though, for me, Jason, because
what's that?
What their memory of it was a very different environmental setting. So this land has had some pretty cataclysmic, if that's a word, if I could actually say it correct. I'm not even singlistic.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I butchered that. Either way, it's got fairly significant environmental change. The land itself.
Yes, it is.
I was wondering if have I got the right kind of instinct here that this is something momentous in the past that happened, something we may explore later on?
No. It's just this is the desert now. That's the setting. Because they had to do something. Yeah. They had to nerf Toph for this episode because even though she is an accomplished earthbender, she doesn't like sand. It's coarse and it's rough and it gets everywhere, and she has a hard time seeing through sand because it's so shifty.
Yeah, so she can't. That was an interesting because she can't shift. Like it's earth, is the sand earth or?
Mm-hmm. It is earth, and we do meet some sandbenders later, but it's just a medium she's not used to. It would be like giving, I don't know, Da Vinci clay and saying, "Here, make a Play-Doh sculpture." And he'd be like, "What the hell is this?" So that's Toph.
Give me a simple word to pronounce. That's another example. Like trying to give me
Yes, cataclysmic. But the Gaang, they find the Gaang come to the library. They find it. It's halfway buried. Appa and Toph stay on the surface because Appa does not like going underground, and Toph is just being a big old pill. But they go on inside. And first of all, I want to call your attention to the absolute beautiful backgrounds that just litter this entire episode. I don't know how much time they took painting these backgrounds, but my gosh, they are stunning. Every single one of them is absolutely stunning.
The animation's gotten a big upgrade this season, I think.
It has, yes. Sorry, I had stuff in my throat. Let me get a little refreshing drink here before a big snot bubble comes out. I'll be snot bending. So the library is not completely empty. However, there is a knowledge spirit, a great owl, and I'm actually trying to surreptitiously look. There's a big word for you. I'm trying to surreptitiously look here for his name. Oh, here it is. It's Wan Shin Tong. Wan Shin Tong, the Great Owl of Knowledge.
We saw the. It's not the first time I've seen the big owl, though, Jason.
No, it's not. No, it won't be the last time you see this character either. Voiced by Hector Elizondo, I believe.
But it was in the live action.
Yes, you did see that bird. Because they put him in the first season for some reason and not in the library, which I will never understand.
I don't get it.
Why they took Wan Shin Tong out of the library and just put him in the spirit world like he's just some kind of wild animal when he's not. He's a very vindictive knowledge god who loves books.
Mate, every time, the more episodes we get into this animated series, the more dislike I'm having for the live action.
Yeah, they just have some very questionable choices. And speaking of questionable choices, the spirit god does not want them there. He says humans are forbidden. This is planet forbidden for humans. We later find out why. It's because of our old friend, Admiral Douchebag. He came and raided the library. And then the firebenders basically burned the entire wing of the library that had something to do with firebending. And so our pal Wan Shin Tong does not want them there. But they talk him into it by giving him books. The professor gives him this tome of knowledge. Katara gives him her waterbending scrolls. And then what does Aang give him? I don't know. I think a wanted poster. He gives him one.
Yeah, well, I don't know what Aang gives him, but the gifts get lower and lower in class and importance as they go along.
Which, of course, leads us to that wonderful line he tells Sokka, "You're not very bright, are you?" Which is ironic because Sokka is probably the most logical and forward-thinking of all of them. His gift is that he makes everybody think he's stupid.
Yeah, well, it's his idea. It's his idea to do this. Yeah. He's smart.
So there's an Easter egg that I screen capped here, and I want to throw it up right quick. This is from a book that Aang finds, and all he does is look at it and say, "Oh, look at this weird lion turtle thing." Yeah. I don't want you to really look at the lion turtle, even though it's like the primary thing, but look at the figure standing in front of the lion turtle.
Yeah.
That is a pivotal character that we do not meet until almost halfway through The Legend of Korra.
Wow.
That is the first Avatar.
Wow.
So I don't know if that was their intention whenever they first made this episode. Like, hey, let's put in an Easter egg here for the first Avatar, or if it was just, hey, let's draw somebody in front of the big turtle thing. But
I trust these guys. I know what they're doing.
I think that they had the first Avatar story pretty much written, but yeah, you meet the first Avatar in The Legend of Korra, but early, that's him right there. That's the first Avatar. Sokka finds an observatory, which is very, very cool, and discovers that there is an eclipse coming up. And just like what happened to the Water Tribe, when this eclipse happens, Fire Nation are going to lose their firebending. And that's the perfect time to attack the Fire Nation. However, this ruffles the feathers of Wan Shin Tong.
Yes, I get the pun.
I know. I couldn't help it. But Wan Shin Tong is not very happy about this because it breaks his rule. Don't use my knowledge to attack anyone. And so he immediately gets mad at them. But not as mad as I get during this next scene because somebody's messing with my boy up top. There are people rustling Appa. And at this point, the library's sinking and Toph is trying to hold it up. And she can't let go of the library because it's going to sink with everybody in it. And two, she can't bend sand very well. And so every time she does like break away from the library to try to attack the sandbenders, her attacks are always ineffective. And so all she can do is helplessly watch as Appa is stolen. And I hate to tell you, this kicks off one of the most depressing story arcs of the entire series, and it just never seems to stop.
Okay. It was a bit upsetting watching that.
It really is, because like I said, Appa's my boy. He's the best boy in the world, and just to see him in distress like this is it is not the vibe. But Wan Shin Tong is basically just trying to kill everyone at this point. You may not leave my library. You're going to be on display here. The professor's cool with that, though. He's just like, look at all these books. I'm going to read all these books. He's like Burgess Meredith in the Twilight Zone at this point.
No, well, he doesn't need food and water, does he?
Do you remember how I told you that this is not the last time we see Wan Shinton?
Oh, okay.
We see him again in The Legend of Korra.
Oh, really?
And we also see the professor again.
Oh,
and your question is answered. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. They managed to
say the owl.
Yes.
Can I just say the owl when it goes into attack mode as it elongates?
With the big long neck. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that's great. Scary when
it
goes into attack mode.
Terrifying. I thought I had a screen cap of it. I don't think it's StreamYard's fault this time. I think I just didn't get a screen cap of it. And as they get to the surface, they find a distraught Toph, who is, I guess, distraught, and no Appa. And Aang just asked her, "Where's Appa?" And she said, "I'm sorry, I couldn't do anything." And Aang is heartbroken. And of course, on that happy note, we end the episode, and that is the library.
Yeah, and you know what? Seeing Toph upset got me really upset because it's the first time we've really seen her show vulnerability. You know, so it's a mixed episode for me. I love it, right? But it's a mixed episode because I really didn't like the scene with Appa getting taken. Basically,
it's
really
upsetting.
Yeah,
there is a lot of people who maintain that the Appa story that goes on through the next several episodes is season 2's big misstep, because they said that it's not really enthralling, it's not involving, it's just sad. It's just this sad story that just never seems to end.
Yeah. Well, at least it's counterbalanced in this episode with the library, which is brilliant. I think anything to do in the library, I really enjoyed. I love the archaeologist. I think he's a fantastic character. Just a lot of fun. Just this hopeful optimism about everything. I just loved. The owl was amazing. But yeah, just wow, you've kind of set me up for a few depressing weeks coming up by the sounds of it.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. I enjoy the archaeologist as well, because one of my, I don't want to say one of my favorite things, but I guess I have to now. One of my favorite things is whenever characters get an ironic fate that they think they want, but they don't deserve. And I mean, that's the librarian. Like you said, what's he going to eat? What's he going to drink? He ain't. He's got all these books there. And I think that maybe whenever that light from the tower went out and in the library's buried, I think at that moment he probably realized, oh no, I probably should have thought about that a little bit more than what I did. But yeah, there's just something haunting about him sitting there with all these books in the sand coming down around him, and he's doomed. He's doomed, but he could not be happier about it.
Yeah, he's a willing partner, well, a willing participant in his own demise.
Yes, he is.
You've kind of mentioned we see him again, but from my perspective, before you said it, I thought the dude was dead. Like I thought, that's kind of dark. He kind of, died in the library. When the light closed up, where was the lights? Where was anything?
I can finally read all the books I want. Oh no, it's dark. It's okay. I'm here to talk to you.
It's only missing him. Him having glasses, and he breaks them at the end.
It's not fair. Right? It's not fair. I tell you, it's not fair. That's such a great episode of The Twilight Zone, by the way. All the time in the world. I love it. it. So that is it for this edition of Breaking Wind, a Last Airbender podcast. If you would be so kind, please check out the video description below for information about how you may become a Patreon for us. You will get early access to some of our videos. You'll, of course, get picks for some of our other shows, such as the VHS Vault and our brand new show called Saturday and His Amazing Friends, which I think you'll really enjoy. And you may also want to consider becoming a channel member, because as a member, you will stand tall and you will get early access to a lot of our offerings. So that's all in the video description below. Check it out. For myself, Jason Roy Gustin, and for my friend VHS Jace, we wish you adieu. And of course, as LeVar Burton would say, Read a book.
But maybe have some food and water with you.
Yeah, have some food and water. And of course, if there's a big owl who tried to kill you 5 minutes before, maybe just don't. Just don't.
Just don't.
Wouldn't it be funny if all they had, if all those books were like back ordered copies of Twilight? It's a fate worse than